Parents, before you click Add to Cart, stop. That magnetic desk toy, it sent kids to surgery, the baby sleeper everyone loves, linked to infant deaths, hoverboards, some burned homes down. These 25 toys look innocent, but have caused injuries, hospital visits, and even death. Many were sold for years before recalls, leaving families with lasting tragedy. Today we're exposing the most dangerous toys ever made, why regulators failed, and the warning signs parents must know. The last toy on this list, still on shelves, despite causing chemical burns. Stay to the end. What you learn could save a child's life. Number 1. Buckyballs, Bucky Cubes. These small magnetic toys turned into death traps after children swallowed several of these magnets. The magnets are attracted via intestinal walls, perforating organs and bleeding internally, making it life-threatening. In excess of 2,000 report wounds resulted in emergency operations, and children as young as 10 months had to undergo several operations and sustained irreversible damage to their digestive systems. When seeking each other in the body, the magnets literally pierce holes through the organs of children. According to emergency room physicians, the injury is horrifying. Trapped intestinal tissue between magnets dies and perforates, which needs prompt surgery. What the manufacturers had not informed the parents: one magnet is passed through, but 2 or more cause medical emergencies with the need of colostomy bags and lifetime digestive issues. The manipulation of the psychological aspect was evident. The companies sold them as educational and relaxation, but presented them in vivid colors visible to children. If you thought that was disturbing, the next toy didn't just manipulate, it put children's lives at risk. Number 2. Aquadots, generated beads that have chemicals on them that break down to GHB, the date rape drug. These beads left children all over the world in comas after they swallowed them in the process of doing normal crafts. The Chinese company was well aware of the dangers when they replaced safe coating with inexpensive industrial chemicals because they knew that children would place beads in their mouths. Children who were in a drug-induced coma were reported in hospitals, which were indistinguishable to GHB overdoses, with the youngest victim being as young as 20 months old. Parents stood back and could not do anything to stop the unconsciousness of their children when they were supposed to be engaged in harmless creative processes. The symptoms were dreadful: vomiting, inability to breathe, and hours-long comatose conditions. Dozens of children were treated in the emergency rooms due to poisoning by the toys they were sold as educational and safe. The recall was instantaneous globally, but the damage was already caused. Families who had almost seen their children die as a result of craft supplies were traumatized. As horrifying as that was, the next product turned sweet dreams into every parent's worst nightmare. Have you ever had a terrifying experience with a toy or baby product? Let us know in the comments below. Number 3. Fisher-Price Rock and Play Sleeper. This inclined baby sleeper resulted in the death of more than 100 infants in positional asphyxiation. During the flattened position, the babies fell forward, airways were blocked, and resulted in suffocation, something that parents thought was safe sleep. Fisher-Price had 10 years of knowledge of deaths, but still marketed millions of units before recalling them in 2019. The cushioning that appeared to be comfortable played the role of forming fatal breathing barriers that could not have been realized by their parents. Internal business records showed that the company executives were aware of the fatalities, and they considered sales over safety, and they did insufficient studies as babies kept on dying. The warnings against inclined sleepers were no new development by the American Academy of Pediatrics, but the marketing of the Fisher-Price product made desperate parents believe that this was a safe and different product. The manipulation was inhuman. The crime was directed at the sleep-deprived parents who needed some sleep, and he brought them the death traps that killed babies in their most vulnerable states. Just when you think it couldn't get worse, even pretend play turned deadly. Number 4. Kidcraft Farm to Table Play Kitchen. Strangulation deaths happened using the accessory hooks in this play kitchen as they were placed at toddler neck height. The hooks were too good to sustain the weight of the dead, when the clothing or necklaces got caught during normal plays. Several children were strangled to death, and parents discovered their toddlers in an unconscious state with their toddlers trapped. The company was informed of the strangulation risk, but proceeded to manufacture the product because it was not expensive to recall an item, but their profits were considered more than the life of children. Executives were reported to be debating on acceptable risk and costs of recalling the product as children kept dying via internal emails. A mother in Texas reported that she discovered her 3-year-old son found hanging on the kitchen hook by his shirt, and she had to use life-saving CPR to rescue his life. The mind game was on parents who desired educational toys that would enhance life skills and creativity, but presented death traps as learning materials that transformed the imaginative play into the deadliest accidents. If household hazards weren't enough, the next product turned playtime into a literal ticking time bomb. Number 5. Jetson Rogue. Hoverboards. Lithium batteries caught fire and burst out with a lot of power to set fire on houses and burn children severely. These batteries did not fail. They turned into bombs that demolished houses and harmed families. During the test ride, children experienced third-degree burns as the battery exploded, and a series of houses were destroyed as charging hoverboards set fire overnight. In the case of the hoverboard, the company hurriedly launched products into the market without proper testing of the battery, and this was at the expense of the consumers because the company was after the money rather than the safety of the consumers. There are dozens of children treated in the emergency rooms due to serious burns, and the house fires due to explosion of toys were responded by fire departments. The advertising was based on the need of the kids to be popular and cool with the kids, easily sliding down, with the parents being convinced that this was a safe method of transportation. What they failed to add was the risk of catastrophic fire caused by cheap and untested battery technology that made children bedrooms a potential fire pit each time they would plug in their toys. Number 6. Evercross, a 5 hoverboard. Another hoverboard on fire which had faulty battery packs which were overheating during regular charging trigger fire and explosions. The battery compartment was poorly sealed, and the batteries that would overheat would start fires in the area, and it would begin without any warning. Various families have been left homeless as a result of these hoverboards spontaneously bursting into flames as they were charged in the bedrooms of the children. These were sold as high-end products that had a higher degree of safety, although independent testing found that they had poor battery management systems that could not avoid thermal runaway. Parents purchased them, believing that they were entering their home's quality and safety-wise without realizing that they were bringing fire at home. Children were badly burnt as the batteries would explode and cause trauma out of the toys that should have brought fun and exercise, but ended up causing pain and destruction of property. Number 7. Powerboard self-balancing scooters, dangerous copies of hoverboards with fatal battery malfunctions that led to explosions and injuries to children riding them. These scooters lacked adequate battery management systems, thus becoming uncontrolled in terms of thermal runaway and explosions that were knocking their children off and leaving them with serious burns and trauma. The batteries did not simply burst into flames, they blew up violently enough to hurt the people who were within the blast range and then burn them with shrapneling blasts of the debris. Doctors served in emergency rooms were treating children with traumatic injuries taken up by sudden explosions such as burns, falls, and psychological trauma of the children who witnessed the explosions during their play. The company lacked safety measures and did not observe international standards of testing batteries in order to save production expenses. Parents purchased them as the cheaper alternative to name brands, unaware that they were buying potential bombs disguised as toys that unexpectedly went off as they were used normally. Number 8. Lawn darts. Sharp-pointed darts made of heavy materials intended to be games in the backyard were used as skull-piercing weapons on family occasions. The darts were heavy enough to provide sufficient impetus to penetrate human heads and inflict a lethal brain injury. Several children perished with skull fractures and brain damages due to darts thrown to them when they were playing in the supposedly safe family recreation. The most tragic was the death of a 7-year-old girl who was killed instantly when a dart was passed through her skull as the family held a barbecue, thus making a celebration a funeral. The manufacturer sold these as family entertainment, as shown by joyful families, and not stating that being able to play with weighted spears around children is lethal in itself. The physics could not have been avoided. High, sharp projectiles thrown into the air would sooner or later hit somebody, and human skulls could not resist the impact. Number 9. Baby walkers. These devices provided dangerous mobility to infants before they can walk safely, resulting in thousands of injuries, mainly due to falls down the stairs. Babies were moving at unsafe speeds, with their heads being disproportionately heavy, and have serious head injuries when they finally fall. Emergency room records revealed that thousands of people suffered injuries each year that comprised of skull fractures, brain injuries, and developmental delays due to head blows. The psychological manipulation was aimed at parents being anxious concerning the developmental milestones, and marketing made it seem that the babies in walkers would walk earlier and be at a higher level. But according to pediatric studies, the walkers actually retard the normal growth of walking and increase the risk of injuries significantly. Most nations outright prohibited them when they realized that the risk-benefit analysis was disastrously unfavorable. Parents purchased them with the understanding that they were assisting their babies in growing quicker, yet they posed mobility risks which transformed curious infants into victims of accidents. Number 10. Hungry Jack's Garfield toy. This promotional toy, which was given out as a part of children meals, included button batteries, which could easily fall off, posing fatal ingestion risks to the very population segment most likely to ingest tiny objects. When toddlers ingested these batteries, they produced internal chemical burns and organ damage when the batteries released poisonous concoction in their bodies. The design of the inaccessible battery could not allow parents to position the batteries in a good way to make sure that normal play would ultimately release hazardous parts. There were several cases of hospitalizations after toddlers had to undergo emergency surgery in order to extract them due to their battery being chemically burning their internal organs. Millions of this were handed out to kids via children meal programs, with the company marketing to toddlers, retailing the beverages knowing they posed a risk of ingestion due to the design defects. Parents were confident that toys that come with the kid meals would be safe without glimpsing the fact that they were made of some potentially deadly materials that were camouflaged as harmless playthings. Number 11. Ubayan crib mobiles. The button battery compartments were detachable in the course of normal usage, and the toxic batteries were released in the position of cribs where inquisitive babies can access them. The batteries burnt internal organs upon ingestion, and they needed emergency surgery, which left the digestive system permanently damaged. The inherent design form placed battery facilities on the reach of infants and could not be correctly secured. Parents used to hang them over cribs as nursery wall decorations, that they are oblivious to the fact that they are attaching dispensers of poison over their sleeping infants. Number 12. Make It mini food sets. These craft sets had resin chemicals that injured the skin severely, irritated the eyes, and led to difficulties in breathing, as outlined in the instructions of the manufacturers. Children were getting chemical burns when working with craft supplies, which were thought to be safe, and some of the children had to be taken to the hospital with injuries related to chemical exposure. The chemicals in the resin were also potentially deadly to the skin and respiratory issues when children were exposed to fumes during crafting activities. Number 13. Toy necklaces. The generic costume jewelry was lethal in two ways. Small beads could be easily broken during play, resulting in choking death, and the necklace cords presented a strangulation risk when entangled in playground equipment or furniture. Several children died of choking on jettisoned beads, as well as of accidental strangulation due to catching of cords during active play. The inexpensive production ensured that beads were not firmly put in place and would fall on different occasions during regular usage. Number 14. Small ball tower toys. Online stores sold tower toys that include balls that are intentionally made smaller than the prescribed safety standards, which form flawless choking hazards but fit perfectly in the airways of children. The balls were designed with a precise size that was almost likely to block the airways and result in death upon normal play. Several children suffocated after such balls got stuck in their throats and could not be taken out by parents or emergency personnel. Number 15. Peg Perigo Polaris Ride-On Vehicles. The design of these battery-powered cars was defective, and children found themselves trapped under crushed automobiles in the event of a rollover after normal outdoor play. The balanced weight distribution predisposed rollovers whenever it was in use in normal conditions, and the enclosed design prevented the children whenever they were trapped under the rollover. Several kids were severely crushed, and others succumbed due to the inability to be trapped under such heavy vehicles. Number 16. Lexibook. Baby bath seats were bath seats that had serious stability issues that made them tip over easily when using in normal bathing conditions and submerge babies face down in bathtubs, leading to drowning incidents. The flaws in the design predetermine the rollovers during the regular bathing. The seat structure entraps babies under the water when they are overturned. Parents had confidence in such machines to have babies safe in the bathtubs when they drowned due to the unexpected overturning of the seats. Number 17. Fisher-Price Baby Bicep. Toy dumbbell end caps come off toy dumbbells during regular games and present choking hazards of just the right size to block infants' airways and lead to suffocation. The detached caps are exactly the size of a baby mouth that blocks the airways, leading to an emergency medical treatment to avoid death. The defect in the design was very foreseeable. Infants are prone to putting the toys in their mouths, and removable components always loosen and part under normal play. Number 18. Nerf Barrage Youth Bike Helmets. These helmets failed crash safety tests to the extent that they offered zero protection in case of bicycle crash and sent children with unrealistic illusion of taking risky actions. The quality of the helmets was so low that the usage of the helmets was somewhat riskier than being bareheaded because they promoted the concept of danger, and they did not provide any real protection. Several children have sustained injuries to their heads when they were on bicycles and had these faulty helmets on them. Number 19. Segway 9Bot P100 Kick Scooter. The front fork accidentally fractured in regular use with no prior warning and resulted in sudden crashes that launched children face first at high speed onto pavement. Failure was catastrophic and unpredictable to the structure. Children never knew when the major parts would fail, and then they were thrown down. Several children were seriously wounded in their faces, broken bones, and traumas on the head in the course of rides that are supposed to be safe forms of transportation. Number 20. Aqua Leisure Inflatable Baby Floats. The flats were poorly designed and constructed such that they burst or toppled over as soon as an infant entered the pool or lake, resulting in drowning. Normal use of the float construction led to failure of the construction, and babies ended up underwater without any prior or noticeable preparation. There were several deaths and almost drowning instances due to the floats deflating or inverting, and the babies who did not know how to swim were waterlogged, and the parents could do nothing to help them. Number 21. Juju Pets. Early Juju Pets models had serious issues with lead in fur and paint, which made them fearful of potential lead toxicity during normal play with the popular robotic pets. Although subsequent tests do not confirm most of the fears, the first scandal was that dangerous materials can easily bypass safety tests and quality control to get into the hands of children before they realize anything wrong. Number 22. Slime kits. Poor quality slime kits had high levels of borax and other industrial chemicals that led to serious burns, rashes, and chemical irritation of skin during normal use of the kits. Slime ingredients, claimed to be totally safe and entertaining in kids, burned the flesh of the children who worked with them painfully. The chemical levels were much higher than the levels that are safe when in contact with skin, and this resulted in instant harm and long-term harm. Number 23, Sky Dancers. These spinning fairy dolls contain propeller wings, which made them dangerous projectiles when thrown, and resulted in severe eye and facial injuries amongst children during normal play. The toys were meant to rotate fast and fly in the air, yet the rotating machine made unreliable weapons that hit children in their faces and eyes without their notice. Several children were permanently blinded and cut on the face by these flying toys. Number 24. Easy Bake Oven, the model. Easy Bake Oven that was sold in 2007 had a trapdoor that entraps the fingers of children when used normally and burns them severely and amputates the fingertips in several cases. The heating system was available when people were cooking, which posed burn risks which cut children when they were baking, just like the manufacturer had intended. Several of the children were severely burned, and 1 or 2 lost fingertips as the mechanism of the trap door trapped their fingers on hot surfaces. Number 25. Toy guns. Cheap knockoffs of dart guns were of such high projectile force that it was significantly more than allowable under normal conditions during play between children. The hardness and speed of the dart were also threatening enough to produce irreparable damage, transforming play weapons into real weapons that hurt children in the course of games. Several children sustained eye injuries that needed surgical treatment, and others suffered irreversible eye damage consisting of darts that hit faces during the games. Where smart parents shop safely. Before buying any toys to your children, research on them all. Visit the Consumer Product Safety Commission site, cpsinc.gov, to find out what is being recalled, what is being warned against, and what injury reports. View honest reviews that were provided by the other parents who have been using the products with their children over the years, not only after unboxing the items at first. Shop only at well-known stores that have well laid down return policies, attentive customer service, and product safety responsibility. The control mechanisms and supplier control of Target, Walmart, Amazon, and the established toy stores chains are higher than that of unknown online sellers. Do not buy toys from online shops that are not known or through social media ads, as well as pop-up websites that might lack the right safety measures or even customer care. Never buy anything without first verifying the information on manufacturing and safety certification and contact information of the company. Your child's safety should always come before flashy features or educational claims. These dangerous products prove that some companies prioritize profits over protection, rushing hazardous markets without thinking of danger. If this research helped you spot unsafe toys and protect your family, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more weekly safety reports from Before You Buy.